The one thing I love is new research, and you could research anything, and I'll probably be interested in it. But especially new research on things that I'm interested in that also helps me to do my job better. And this is some new research on autism, and this came out from Princeton University, not RFK, because he's a environmental lawyer that fired all the scientists. Not surprising, he's not getting very far right now. Anyhow, the wonderful humans at the very smart people at Princeton University, all these fantastic scientists and researchers, have done some really good deep diving when it comes to autism. And what's beautiful about this new research that they've done, first of all, they actually had a decent sampling size. We're talking 5,000 kiddos with autism across the spectrum, looking at all the different types, the subtypes, because that's what we're trying to do here. We're actually trying to analyze and identify and catalog the subtypes of autism, which is probably the first time this has been done other than Spectrum 1s, 2, and 3, which were combined in DSM-5. And what's beautiful about this is they're not just using the criteria from the DSM. They're actually looking at 230 different specific traits associated with autism. And they've been able to do kind of like utilize some computer programs to break this down into 4 specific categories. In category 1, which is about 37% of people with autism, this is the social behavioral challenges aspect of autism. What's fascinating about this one is that this tends to occur later in life, which explains why some people didn't have symptoms when they were young and why they have symptoms now, because this actually triggers later in life. This is like a genetic time bomb in your brain that goes pop, because thanks mom, thanks dad, I have the autism, and it happened to me as I got older. And these individuals will meet all their milestones typically in life. Like they're managing to do all the things they're supposed to do in a timeline according to what normal childhood development is. They are more likely to have comorbidities like ADHD, autism, depression, anxiety, and OCD. Whew. Subtype number 2 is what's called mixed autism, or autism spectrum disorder. And this encompasses about 19% of folks with autism. And they're less likely to have comorbidities like anxiety and depression. They will have some developmental delays here and there. And it is an inherited trait from mom and dad, or grandma and grandpa, or some relative somewhere down the line. And subtype number 3, that is about 34% of people with autism, is called the moderate challenges section. And these individuals are going to meet their normal milestones in life. They're less likely to have things like anxiety and depression. And, they just kind of need a little extra help here and there. And then we have the 4th category, and this encompasses about 10%. And this is the broadly affected. These are the individuals with more severe challenges across the board. They're going to need more supports throughout life across the board. And this particular subset, this broadly affected, it's interesting because with this particular subsect of autism, it seems to be more new mutations as opposed to inherited mutations from the parents when it comes to their autism. So this is actually really fascinating. And what does all this mean for you and for me? Well, for you as the individual, it means that autism diagnosis is going to be more detailed, more nuanced, and more specific to the individual subtype of autism, which is fantastic. It also is going to indicate that some people might be able to get diagnosed later in life because there weren't any childhood issues. That falls in that category 1. It's also going to ensure that people are going to get more direct, specific, accurate, and appropriate treatment for what's going on with their brain types. It might even mean new advances in medication. It's definitely going to mean new advances in therapeutic techniques, so we're not just going to be pouring every single kid into the ABA Play-Doh Fun Factory mold, squish, and push out human. Not that, good clinicians do that. I mean, ABA has its place, don't get me wrong, but so does everything else. ABA might be great for teaching some basic skills and things like that, and learning some behavior modification. But down the road, psychoeducation, understanding oneself, learning oneself specifically, and moving forward. All these things are going to be huge when we come to understanding the different subsets of autism. I am having trouble talking this morning. Good morning. And it means that we're going to have new therapy techniques as we start to develop very specific therapy approaches for these different subsets. We're going to know better what's going on with the person so we can better help the person. And also the person is going to have better information so they can help themselves.